a second-hand coat. I want a yacht, not a cheap little boat. I tell my daddy not to be depressed. All I need for happiness is the best. I want a diamond, nothing else has appeal. And when it comes to men, you know how I feel. I want a real man. Give me a real man, you know what I mean. I want a real man. Oh, real man, you're what I need.
Hey! Okay, now let's try this. Yeah, this will be great. This will be the best show ever.
The best.
It'll be hot. Hey, welcome to Real Men. I'm your host, Tim Steeves. We have a hot one planned. Let's meet the people, huh? Kate Ashby's here today. How are you, Kate?
Yes.
Kate's fired up.
Hi.
Yeah, okay.
Hi.
And
Hi.
Kedar is here as well. How are you, Kedar?
I'm fine.
Yeah, startled, I would say. And Chucky Byrn's also here.
I took my Ritalin. I'm feeling
Chuck
fine.
took the Ritalin. Also joining us, Tim Rykert.
I thought I was in a good mood till I saw Kate.
Yeah, you were in like the fourth good mood now. Hey, that's how we're going to kick it off. We'll throw it over to Tim Rykert for a commentary. Go ahead, Timmy.
Well, I am in a good mood. I'm very excited. You know why? Because I'm 35 now. I'm 35 years old, and my midlife crisis is coming. Woohoo! I get to have a midlife crisis. I'm trying to think of which one I want to have. Maybe the sports car. That'd be cool if I just suddenly went out and irrationally bought a Ferrari. But you know what? I already have a Pathfinder, and so never mind that. Maybe I'll suddenly leave my wife and move to South Beach, Florida, and start dating different women all the time. I kind of love my wife, and I kind of want to stay up here. Maybe I'll grow my hair long and take up mountain climbing. I just got a haircut, and I already do a bit of mountain climbing. Maybe I'll just take a mistress, a nice young girl to see once in a while to keep me all young and, sex. My wife's actually pretty good in bed. Do I need a midlife crisis? Does any guy need a midlife crisis? Maybe we only needed midlife crises when we got into a job that we hated at 18 and then met the wrong woman and married her at 20 and then had 3 kids by the time we were 22. And now, by the time we're 35, yeah, we're going nuts. But that doesn't happen these days. So, crisis? What crisis, Tim?
I don't know, Timmy, but you've posed some interesting questions. Do we need one anymore in this day and age? Let's go to Kedar to get this started.
Well, why is it that men are accused of having a midlife crisis? I mean, the only thing about it is that we're doing things now when men get to that age, 35, 40, and 50. We're just doing things now we couldn't afford to do when we were in our 20s. That's all it is. You got more money now, hopefully. If you don't, you're just a homeless guy, and you've moved up from whiskey to bourbon. I mean, that's all it is.
Is that right, Kate? Most of us would have had the sports car and the big stereo years ago.
I think so.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
The only thing is that like women go through a menopausal thing and it's a chemical change. Don't you think that men suffer some sort of chemical thing as well? Forget the car and all that stuff. Just the depression that some guys go through.
Menopausal?
No, the only thing men might go through that's something backed up. Maybe you just can't release when you like to.
Guys just go through about 3 20-year-olds during the midlife crisis. That's all they go through.
Is that how you handle a midlife crisis, Chucky Doll?
Well, I think the midlife crisis is basically, everybody has a picture of where their life is going to be at a certain point.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and things are never as you expected them to be, and you maybe kind of wish, well, I wish maybe I did at one point own a sports car.
So is it the
I wish I did
expectation?
get to go out with a stripper, like those are the things you want to do. And when you're 50 years old and you're driving a Porsche, perfect, the stripper's going to hop right in.
So your dreams are to own a sports car and to go out with a stripper?
No, those aren't my dreams. Those are just
There's
the
somebody
dreams.
else's dreams.
That's the dream Chuck's living right
Every
now.
generic man. Yeah, I'm already
That's
living
every
the dream.
man's dreams. Chuck's got that going on right now.
Yeah, I would have a midlife crisis. I'm going to have to go to Bangkok to fulfill mine.
I think, too, that when people get into relationships that they suddenly start to please each other, they give up stuff, there's this whole thing that you can't have fun without me, and they get stuck in these relationships, and at some point they suddenly go, I'm now not doing well. I don't have the same group of friends I used to have, and they get bored, and they sort of have this midlife something. And
Can it be brought on by the relationship, Timmy? Is that? You agree with that?
Yeah, like Kate was saying, you can lose your individuality. You start out as 2 individual people who cohabitate, and slowly over time you meld into one person, and at some point you go, whoa, wait a second, where did me go?
Yeah.
I don't like knitting.
Yeah.
When did I decide to go see this movie?
And I think a lot of guys get together with girls, and all of a sudden the girls go, okay, you got to clean up this, and you've got to stop doing that. And they do, because they're just so happy to have a woman in their bed all the time who's there for them, blah, blah, blah. And then at some point they wake up and they go, this is not, I'm not, where is my beautiful wife? Where is that song?
It's the old
there
David
a
Byrne
song?
talking, this is not my beautiful wife.
Yeah, yeah.
Kedar, are we just getting younger too? Because you look at Rykert over there, doesn't look like a guy who's ready for a midlife crisis, does he?
I didn't even know he was married.
I didn't know he's 35.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought he was 29.
He looks like he's going to be bringing your paper over, man.
And snowboarding, it's true.
Yeah.
No, we are getting younger. I think men are recapturing their youth now and saying, you know what? No, I don't need to act my age. I'm gonna act my shoe size.
As are
because
women, don't you think?
They fit,
Yeah,
and women
for sure.
too. Women,
Yeah.
women are starting to go back and say, you know what? I'm beautiful. I'm young. You know, why should I fit into this mold
Yeah.
or that mold
Yeah.
that society tells me I
The
should fit
sad thing
into?
for me is the guy that actually, like you said, at 45 ends up having the money, that, you know, has his house somewhat paid off, has the money to go out and buy the car of his dreams, and people start to look at him and laugh because, and they
Yeah.
call it that, and they make him feel guilty for it, and I think that's baloney.
It
I think
is.
if you
Well-
can afford a sports car at that age, your kids are a little older, whatever.
But I think the picture of the male midlife crisis is changing too. It used to be about ditching the wife, getting a young 20-year-old and buying a sports car. And I think it's much more now about changing what you're doing. You see a lot more guys just deciding, I'm going to leave my office job and I'm going to
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
a fishing
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
Or get in shape. You see a lot of
people
guys
are
doing what you want to do.
They're just really doing what they want to
Yeah.
do instead of just superficially doing, you know,
I s-
crazy fun things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys that decide enough living unhealthy and stuff. That can be
Yeah.
the thing too. Is just say, I'm going to
Well-
jog. I'm going to eat right.
And Tim, I think that's a great point, because I think that with any midlife crisis or anything as we get older, the fact that we're going to die comes into the picture.
Definitely.
And so we suddenly start to realize we're going to die.
Well,
and I think we live in...
It's a matter of, you know, like, you know, I've only got so much time, and at some point you kind of wake up and go, whoa, I'm half my time's gone.
Yeah.
Nice job, panel. And some of our time is gone. We got to go. That was a good job. And when we come back, we're going to talk about men and the newborn. Where does the father fit into that process when we return to Real Men?
Fits in, and then he gets out, and he fits back in again.
Kate Ashby is some fired up today on Real Men. You are, Kate.
I am.
That's cool.
I am.
Hey, listen, this segment we're going to talk about fathers and the newborn, and we're going to throw it over to Kedar to get that started. Go ahead, Kate.
All right. So it's 2 years ago. I'm at North York Hospital. I got my video camera in my hand, and I'm waving to Mark McCoy in the parking lot. My wife is in labor. I'm saying, Mark, what's up, man? What you doing here? And my wife is in labor. We're just going up now. My wife slapped me upside the head and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just saying hi to Mark. I'm just bigging him up, you know. And I got my camera, so I'm filming. Let's go, honey, when you feel a contraction, like really act it up, really stretch it out for, you know, for the video, whole video thing, you know, because this might go on the net and stuff. We could sell this, make some money. So we get up in the room, it calms down. She's there for about 2-3 hours, nothing is happening. I said, honey, you got to do something because this is really boring for video, you know. So she starts something, then she starts sucking on lollies, and the lollipop must have kicked in, and then bam! Immediately, the baby wants to come out. So about 2-3 hours, we have to rush a doctor in. He comes in. He says, it's ready to go. It's ready to go. Out comes a beautiful girl. We name her Jenna. Hi, Jenna. Put that, don't touch that, Jenna. Put it down. Good girl. Anyway, my dad never had to go through that. My dad was probably at work or playing cricket. He didn't have to watch the blood, the gore. He didn't have to videotape. He didn't have to edit. He was playing cricket with the boys at dominoes. Where do we fit in? I think we should go back to playing cricket and dominoes, okay, personally speaking, because this part sucks. Tim?
Thanks, Kedar. Good job, buddy. Jump in there, grab some cushion.
right.
That is interesting. Should we go back to getting drunk across the street and having a cigar?
Wait a minute.
What do you think there, Chuck?
Where's the clip?
The clip?
Can we go? Let's roll the clip.
Yeah, the videotape.
Again. Oh,
I think,
man.
you know, it's interesting because my dad was there for both of his kids being born. My
Really?
grandfather literally drove into the hospital parking lot. My grandmother got out, and my grandfather pulled the car away. She thought he was going to park. He went home. He went home. She called him, get back down here. Yeah, so he came back. But I don't know. I like babies, you know. We got the same shaped head. We run the same, a lot of side to side, not too much forward movement.
The crying.
The crying, the pooping in the pants. I mean, we got a lot in common.
Attraction to breasts.
Soft spot in the top of our head.
But you know, that first cry, when I first heard my daughter cry, I got it on tape because my father-in-law, they dragged him in there. He was there too, and he was like, what do I do? What am I supposed to touch? Because he wasn't there when my
completely
wife
out of
was
his
born
element.
as well. So he's totally out of his element. So when I heard her cry, and I'm holding her in one hand like this, I said, what a nice cry. Well, 2 years later, I regret that because that little has turned into
Now, I have
she
to ask
did it
you-
last night, and it's annoying
I have to
now.
ask you, what is it about the actual birth experience that you didn't like?
You know what? We just don't want to see the instrument of love stretched like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want that. And
That's a good
it's
way to say
coming,
it,
and
Kedar.
another man is standing there saying it's okay to push, and he's touching it, and he's touching it, and then now it's not what it used to be, and then will it ever return to its former?
Timmy Rykert,
Turned you off.
Timmy, if you and your wife have a baby, are you going in the room?
Yeah. I look at it like.
Because you want to be there?
No.
Hey, if dude can climb to the top of an active volcano, he can go in the room.
True, and any dude can. I'm squeamish about lots of things. I was babysitting my little brother one time, and a friend of his was over and bashed his head on the dresser and cut his head wide open, and he's bleeding. And I wanted to run the other way. I wanted to, I can't handle the blood. I want to go. But I got no choice. This is the kid. I got to take care of him. So I did what I had to do in spite of my fear. And I see it the same way when it comes to birthing. It's like, I don't want to go in there. I'm afraid. But I guess I got it.
And
I think it
you're afraid
depends
of
on the relationship. Sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
you. I think it depends
No,
on
you
the
ain't sorry.
relationship of the two people, right? I think depending on the kind of.
No, I think nowadays,
No.
you as a guy, you cannot get away with
You
not being
cannot.
in
You
the-
have to go. And you feel somehow socially obligated that you have to be there. Every other guy that you know that's had a kid is gone
Oh,
in.
but you know
what?
what?
If you
Well,
don't?
I have a
Hold
girl-
on, panel. Kedar, speak to once you're home now. Speak to the first year at home with the newborn.
The first year home? Well, what about the drive home? On the way there, when I'm driving my car, nothing more. They cut in front of me, go ahead, who cares? You know, give them the finger, whatever. But now on the way home, everybody's a threat. What is wrong with him?
Right.
Cutting in front of me 10 feet ahead.
Right, you got your girl.
I got a kid back here.
Right.
You know?
Did you get the sticker? Did you get the sticker for the back window,
Baby
Kedar?
on the board. I got like a big sign now in the back window. You know those taxis you just cover? I got a big sign covered my back rear windshield.
How do you feel it's changed you?
But it's changed me. It's made me feel more responsible. That now I really have something to live for. That's corny, but
Yeah,
you really
yeah.
go home. I want to leave work, rush home. I'm rushing home. So those guys speeding, those guys are speeding to get home.
Right.
Because they have to. Got to
Right.
take over.
Chuck, hey Chuck, do you ever see yourself in this situation someday or what?
With speeding? Yeah, often, regularly. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have kids at some point. I mean, I'm not in a big hurry or anything like that. That's the great thing about being a guy. You don't have to be in a hurry
Make
about
sure
it.
she breastfeeds. It gives you more time to yourself. Trust me.
Interesting call, Kedar. That's a good way to end the segment. Nice job, panel. When we
Yeah.
come back from this break, let her, yeah, okay. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk about guilty pleasures. What's your vice?
Make sure she breastfeeds.
Coming back. Down, class. Settle down, panel. We're back from break. Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to Real Men. It's a casual vibe we got going in here today.
Yeah.
And we're having a good time with Kedar, Kate, Chucky, and Tim. And this segment, we're going to talk about guilty pleasures. What's your vice? Let's start with Tim Rykert. Rykert, anything illegal, guilty, or otherwise?
Oh.
Sometimes when I'm watching a porno, I get so into it, I feel like I'm cheating.
Ah.
That's one of my guilty pleasures.
You actually put yourself in the scene, you mean?
Oh, I'm just like, I finish and I feel like, oh, I got to go apologize to Lara now.
Now, if you're having sex with your wife after watching a porno and in your mind you're seeing the woman in the porno, does that feel like a guilty pleasure?
No, because it's too often. Guilty is when it comes in once in a while. I'm kidding. Honey, come on.
He's joking.
They're making me be
I'm
provocative.
joking. I never think about you.
What about you, Chucky Byrn?
You know, I don't
Guilty
have
pleasure for Chucky Byrn.
I don't have a lot of guilty pleasures because I'm single, have no kids, so I got plenty of pleasure, very little guilt. I'm very lucky because I have nobody telling me that you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Do you feel guilty now?
I was kind of hoping maybe move it around a little. You know? Yeah.
No, I feel guilty.
I mean, yeah, porn. I got the satellite TV, so that's coming in 24/7 into the house.
It's hard to lay off the porn. That's
I
being pumped in.
special anymore.
I occasionally dabble in intoxicants. I like the Hoors.
And if
That's
you
a lot
call
of
them
fun.
Hoors, then you know
well,
you like
not to their.
Isn't that a new nightclub, the Horse?
Costs extra if you want to call them a whore to their face.
Now you're talking about substance. Are you talking about marijuana? No.
What?
I didn't hear him say
I
that.
have.
I don't
So
know.
are we
A lot of
still,
people
Tim?
smoke marijuana.
I just
Tim,
leave
are we
it up to intoxicants.
Right. So Tim, are we still really not supposed to be talking about marijuana? Do you feel?
Oh no, I
I
don't
smoke
think
pot
Kate.
all day, every day.
Certainly nobody on our set would be into the hippie lettuce, Kate. I
Sure.
just
Right.
don't
Of
see it. I
course.
just
Of
don't see
course.
it.
Got you, Tim. Right.
Marijuana is it's like what Chuck said. It's a pleasure, but it's not a guilty pleasure for me at all.
It isn't, eh?
It's almost becoming socially acceptable. You hear it all the time now. I'm not
Right.
sure if it's all that guilty anymore.
Right.
Well,
it's
my
they
guilty
did it.
pleasures are
They did it on a
redheads.
popular Kate, on a popular unnamed American television show just a couple of weeks ago. They said 600,000 tobacco deaths a year, 500,000 alcohol deaths a year. Goose egg on the hippie lettuce. Marijuana has never killed anyone.
There
Zero
you go.
deaths.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
There you
occasionally
go.
you get an occasional
But
guy that wanders off the end of the pier and falls into the
No,
ocean.
I'm sure people have been hit by a car or
Yeah,
something, but
but
that's indirectly
I think
related
what's
to
interesting
marijuana,
is
I
we
think.
talk about guilty pleasures, and I think our society is telling us to stop feeling guilty about it. Because everybody's told you should be allowed to do whatever you want. We live in a free society.
Well, let's not
Do
make it.
what you want.
but
Let's
it's-
not make it a pot segment. Let's talk to
the
Kedar.
decline of the church and the acceptance of letting people do what they want to do has taken a lot of the guilt out of
I
it.
don't agree. I think people still feel really guilty.
Well, it's not so much the decline of the church as it is the decaying moral quality of our society.
Yeah.
You Jerry Falwell?
I think
Thank
sleeping
you.
late. I think sleeping late. I think sleeping in, that is a guilty pleasure for me. I love to sleep in, but if I sleep in at anything past 4, no, anything past 11, I feel guilty about
That's
that.
a good one, Kate.
Is that- Kate-
That's
Kate,
Is that a hard
because-
one for you?
Kate, you know why that is? And this is my theory. Because our parents' generation,
Yep.
that was a huge sin. My mother
Yep.
thought you were going to hell if you were
Yep.
in bed past
Gotta
11
get
in
up.
the morning.
Absolutely,
Gotta get
Tim.
up.
Absolutely. My dad was, you always had to be up at 7, even on weekends, which was really harsh when you partied the night before, but you had to get up at 7. I could take naps, but I think you're absolutely
What
right.
about food, Kate? I know
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of women have the
Huge,
food
huge,
guilty
huge.
pleasure.
Chocolate, I feel
Fast food.
guilty. Fast food,
Late
I
at
feel
night.
really guilty.
Fast food is really because it used to be just something that I really liked, but now it's something I really liked, but I do start to feel a little guilty about it
Yeah.
because I know
because you're
I
guilty to yourself, not to somebody
Well,
else.
no, just because the next morning you get this
Yeah.
bad acid stomach. and
Yeah.
You just can't eat it all the time anymore, which is really kind of upsetting.
Yeah, yeah.
Masturbation? Any takers on guilty pleasure?
Nah, it's not. I
That
don't
goes
not
hand in
guilty,
hand with
is
the
it?
porn. No, no pun intended, but that goes hand in hand with the porn, doesn't
Hand
it?
in hand. Nice one,
What about
Timmy.
you guys? Do you ever feel?
We're funny.
Chuck, do you feel guilty of masturbation?
Guilty?
Yeah, do you feel
No.
guilty about doing that?
No,
No.
not at all.
No.
I think you have to be.
Not at all.
I mean,
I'd feel a lot more guilty about the people I'd have to kill if I didn't have that
That's
release.
it, right.
I think that's a level of Catholicism that you haven't hit.
Tim, I have one for you.
Okay.
What about flirting? Do you ever feel guilty about that?
Not really. I mean, maybe if I said something inappropriate, but if it was just standard issue, good, solid, back home flirting, I don't think that would be a problem.
But he's single.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I am
feel
single.
guilty about flirting.
Affairs, you guys? You had affairs?
No affairs, but certainly flirting.
Like Rykert's going to
Affairs.
break out with, yes, I one time. I was shooting a TV show in Toronto one November.
Sorry, Tim, I shouldn't have brought that up. That was insensitive of me.
Don't worry, we're
I'll
not-
see you
we're
at
not
lunch.
guilty.
Guilty,
taping any of
guilty
this.
thoughts guilty lustful thoughts,
Guilty,
maybe?
lustful
Of
thoughts.
somebody else, was obviously.
Yeah, walking down the street looking at a babe, and then I shouldn't be doing that. You know?
But I
Right.
think that's just, for most guys, that's just trigger response.
yeah, you can't.
It's not even an issue.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the very fact that you have something inside of you telling you, well, maybe I shouldn't be thinking that of her. You know, she got
I don't question the
a mama
thoughts.
and a papa.
See,
You
I don't question. I just allow myself, hey, nice ass, and I'm happy with that. I don't go, maybe I shouldn't be talking about her ass as a derogatory. No.
She's
That's
a
nice
woman.
ass.
She's a
That's
human
all there is
being.
to it.
All right, we're at,
She's
we're
a
out of
human
time.
being
We
with a
got,
nice
a couple,
ass.
we got a couple more minutes left on Real Men. We're going to come back and talk more guilty pleasures. Actually, there's a kids' help phone right now set up, and the #1 asked question by children, young boys, is it okay to masturbate? And the second most often asked question is, will you stay on the line with me a little longer? Come back, come back. Hey, big hand for the Real Men Band. Welcome back to the show. We got a couple more minutes left. We're talking guilty pleasures, and we've been around the panel a couple times, but Kedar had a little something to go with.
No, I have a guilty pleasure, and I'm not sure, I don't want to feel guilty about it, but I really enjoy seeing two women in a ring just beat each other. I'm sitting there, beat her like she owe you money, beat her. I mean, I really, should I feel bad about
doesn't love a good bitch slap?
No,
I love that.
Do you like mud?
A girl fight, the bra go
Mud? Do you want
flying
the
left
mud,
and
all
right.
that
No,
stuff?
I don't
No,
want the
you don't
mud.
even-
I just want
Clean.
good, clean
Mud?
shots. I
Clean.
want to see the shot. I want
I know where
mud
Chuck's
distorting
going. I know
it.
where Chuck's
Well,
going.
mud removes the legitimacy of the fight.
This is what I'm
And it
saying.
also
It's no
covers
longer
up the
about
boobies,
the fight.
doesn't it,
It's
Chuck?
about losing the top.
Yeah.
In the mud.
The mud covers up the
Right.
boobies. That's no good.
That's what the mud's for.
we want the boobies.
Oh, you don't want anything covered
Mud
up.
wrestling isn't about wrestling so much as it's about girls in bikinis getting covered in mud.
Right. You might notice some of those girls aren't
Not
very
a
good
pure
wrestlers
fighting
at all.
sport.
Those girls can't wrestle.
I never noticed that.
Now, Jell-O,
Now that's a whole
different
other
issue.
thing.
Different issue.
Now I have a question for you. Do you guys ever feel like? Do you guys like to sit on the toilet and read for any length?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
I
I
feel
never.
so guilty when I do that. I can't
don't.
believe it. I
No,
just.
I don't think that's a guilty pleasure.
It's not a guilty.
No,
it's
no,
weird.
that's
It's
just,
weird.
That's just what we do.
Kedar brings up a good one though. Just violence in general. I am so into the reality TV stuff, like the real TV, and
Love it.
watch this boat crash into the wall.
Oh,
watch
ultimate.
Love it.
The police videos is good.
Yeah, and then there's always someone that comes on, well, I don't watch any of that. It's like, shut up.
I know.
You know, like to make you feel bad
What
that you
about
watch, you're stupid.
What about ultimate fighting, guys, and mixed
that-
martial arts?
Yeah.
Mixed
Gotta like
martial
that.
arts, full contact, no
I
holds
hate all
barred.
that stuff.
They say at the beginning of each fight when they're announcing it, "This is brutal." To warn you,
And they
this
mean
is
it.
brutal.
Chuck, what about smoking?
Turn it off.
Smoking has very much become a guilty pleasure. It used to be just something that I did, and now it's not even a guilty pleasure because the guilt makes me feel really bad about it. It's one of those things that while I'm doing it, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Right. So that's got to go.
So it's, the pleasure's starting to ebb away, and the guilt is kind of taking
I don't consider
over.
smoking a guilty pleasure because I don't buy into smoking being a pleasure so much as it's just a fix.
Oh, no,
Right.
it is a
It's
pleasure.
a fix.
Right,
No,
right.
sometimes it's very much a pleasure.
Oh, sure, it's very pleasurable when you get your fix. Get your fix.
Right,
It's very
right.
pleasurable.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
When you get your fix.
Daddy needs his medicine.
Right.
I hope everyone at home got their fix of real men today. Oh, I'm good at this, Kate. This listening thing. Thanks for tuning in. Join us
Oh, we
next
had that ready
time
to go.
where men get real. Nice job, guys.
Keep it real.
Keep it real.
We feel like laughing.
I can't believe you said that you guys are guilty of sitting on the toilet over your cold brew reading.
You know what? No, I feel guilty about? It's sitting on the toilet.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, especially at night when you can't, like, sleep. I
like to
sit.
sit down.
Really? Yeah, cool. But I feel bad.
Okay, we're gonna spread that rumor around.
Because you know what? I gotta wipe it up, man. I gotta wipe it up. I'm a clean freak, so everything has to be in its proper place. So if there's pee there, the next morning I gotta go wipe it up. I don't want to wipe up my own pee, so I